from New York with a skinny governor. This is Breaking Good with Joey Reynolds. And joining us today, multi-award-winning actor Ed Asner. Also, media visionary Harvey Rockman and model actress Cassie Chegwidden. And various people we grab off the street. I'm Big J Sorensen from CBS FM 101.1 in New York City. And now the guy who put the twink in Twinkies, Joey Reynolds.
I don't know if I want that.
Joey.
Well, good afternoon.
Hi there. How are you?
We're doing this in the daytime usually. We used to work in the afternoon, then we worked at night.
Right.
We used to hide the show for 14 years all night.
Absolutely.
And now we're going back to afternoons.
Now we're daytime, and it's amazing. It's very tough to do, but we're there.
They're watching us at NBC.
They're watching us at every network.
No, NBC, because when we worked there, we used to take things that didn't belong to us.
Oh yeah, I have all the records. I grabbed them all.
Do you remember when they were watching us at NBC?
They did watch us all the time.
Now, you know, it's funny because when we had the show at NBC, we replaced Howard Stern.
Yes.
Not exactly. I
No.
mean, we came months later and we did our own show. But it was that same time period.
Right.
And we had with us a couple of sidekicks.
We had several sidekicks.
One of them was...
Well, Al Rosenberg was one.
Yeah.
And,
he was an irritant.
Well, yeah, and that was good.
But the one that stands out was Grace Under Fire.
Oh, absolutely. Brett Butler was fabulous.
And we got Ed I guess Ed Asner is here today. I don't know if he showed up.
Well, I think he did. I hear rumblings.
But he's got another Grace.
Yeah.
There's another Grace period.
Oh, okay.
We have an abundance of grace. It's Thanksgiving. But I think it's wonderful. You know, NBC, I was watching Saturday Night Live, had your governor on there.
Yeah, Governor Christie. Yeah. And he makes fun of himself, which is fun.
Well, you know, he gets there first.
Absolutely.
We're gonna start on him ourselves.
Yeah.
But you know, he's been on television so much in the last couple of weeks.
He was, and you know, he was a good presence. I mean, whether you like his politics or not, he made people feel like something was happening, which was good.
So NBC is going to be renamed Nothing But Chrissy. You know. He's been hanging around and trying to build a profile. Of course, he was hugging Obama.
Yeah.
So you know that kind of make the.
Well, they're saying that got him elected. It was Christie.
What, hugging?
Christie, yeah, hugging Obama got him elected. Yes.
I think a lot
of. There are people who actually believe that because he was hanging with him and interacting well with him, that got Obama. There are conspiracy theories all over the place.
Well, you know, Clinton felt that the hurricane blew him into office.
Is that right?
Probably not a good word choice, but there's a lot of things that we are going to cover today.
We have a lot.
And one of them is to erase everything we ever said. In 1986, we worked together.
Yes, we did on NBC. Yes.
And we got to, you know, we really owe the public an apology for all those bad performances.
Yeah.
And the money we took from NBC.
Yeah, the stolen jokes and everything.
Yeah. And Jay Leno, remember when I stopped him in the hall?
Absolutely.
What happened with him?
He kind of brushed you off, I think.
Why? Because I told him that I was using his material.
Exactly.
After he had 12 writers.
But everybody that appeared on Letterman used to come on our show all the time.
That's right.
When he was at NBC. So.
And Letterman himself would come downstairs in a trench coat.
Yes. Yeah.
And flash us.
Yeah. That
we
was
had
always interesting.
Remember the women who opened their breasts?
Oh,
we had a tour at NBC, and they expected to go on the tour.
Right.
So the tour people were behind the glass. They were laughing at us.
Yes.
I'm wondering why they're laughing.
They thought we were zoo animals, so they were just.
Well, we didn't know what was funny is that these women were exposing themselves to them, but we couldn't see it.
We couldn't see it, but they did. That was funny.
So that was our last day.
That was the last day.
We were there. We were overexposed in NBC.
Yeah, that's true.
I miss certain people on the air. I miss Regis Philbin because you know he's a personality and a good friend. I miss Oprah because she's really wonderful and you know like my sister. You miss someone.
You feel like
And every once in a while. An older person will pop up on the air on television, someone that you're used to. Every once in a while, someone your age.
Which is rare now.
Now, the people who are taking over the industry, ever go to Huffington Post and watch their news?
Yeah.
They have these people who can barely, well, I don't want to criticize.
Articulate, yes.
But they don't have the skills yet.
Well, they're learning.
Yeah, it's like we did.
Yeah,
you know,
we had to learn somewhere.
Yeah. We did not have intern programs.
No.
Well, we just hang around as a pain in the ass until they got rid of us.
Precisely.
And give us a show.
That's how we all started. Yeah.
Now, what's happening these days is people are trained to look beautiful and young, you know, and there's a...
And we have a few of those here today. We'll just have them here because they're beautiful and
But
young.
they won't be on too long.
No.
Because if they sit next to us...
No, it's eye candy. Oh, well, they'll make us look like 100 years old.
People will know.
I know.
You know, we need older guests.
Absolutely.
We need people in wheelchairs and walkers.
We can get them somewhere.
Believe me, they're all in government. All right, so now we're going to have a young lady come out here. I want to introduce her into our little family because we haven't done this before.
We need the eye candy.
You know, and you got to have when people are watching on YouTube or they're watching on Pseudo.com or whatever the particular internet disease is. You know, you want to see someone. The younger people don't want to see.
They don't want to see us.
No,
please.
Just for the holidays.
They don't want to see us.
So we're going to bring a young, beautiful young lady out here.
Her name is Cassie Chegwidden.
All right, Kathy, would you come out here, please? Walk in front of the camera.
Cassie.
Walk a little slower as you walk by me.
Okay. Now, the camera will be very good to her, as opposed to us.
No, I think no. You know, hi, Kathy. You got a mic on you?
No, I don't.
You want to get?
I'll lean over.
That's all right.
Maybe we can.
Real cozy
Maybe we
in
can
here.
pick up 2 mics.
Hopefully, yeah.
No, it's good to have a beautiful young lady here. Now, you and I met before.
Yeah.
And we were met at the Friars Club, right? And you were brought to lunch, and I couldn't take my eyes off of you.
That's a Frankie Valli song. Here's a guy who's ancient too.
Yeah, well, don't bring him up now. Do you know that he saluted me at his last closing night on Broadway?
Yes.
And I was late for the show, and I never heard it. It's like missing your own funeral.
You know who Frankie Valli is?
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
You know it?
Yeah.
I do.
How do you know someone? Let me get my mic. Can I put my mic next to
I love
her?
that song.
Can you hear her? Okay?
Everything's perfect.
I don't want to touch anything that works. Of course, in this country, nobody works. So it's really nice to meet you again. And as I told you the other day when we met at lunch, that I have a daughter your age, 2. And Jay's daughters are a little older because Jay's much older than me. And he has a couple kids. But when you have people, you haven't gotten there yet. And I don't want to be giving a big speech about it. But when you're a little older and you have kids who are replacing you, it's a little bit disconcerting. But I think you need something from me that you can't get from someone in your age group or someone in your peer group, you know, 20 years old.
And what might that be?
Money. I think what you need is you need to have a little bit of history, a sense of history. So today is going to be a learning curve. First of all, Jay is on an oldies station on CBS FM. He plays the music from my generation, you know, the Beatles, who soon will be erased on that format probably because they're playing 70s and 80s music.
Yeah, we're leaning more towards 70s and 80s now.
Yeah. So, but you're familiar with the Beatles and you know Frankie Valli, and you know the music awards went to Justin Bieber this year. So you know, and even though he's not really that talented to me, but that's because
Kids love him.
I know. It's like Fabian was to us. Remember,
Fabian couldn't sing.
But Fabian wasn't talented at all.
He had a pretty face.
But he was pretty. And Frankie Avalon was young and attractive. Bobby Rydell just had a serious operation, recovery guy. But you know, we've always had a teen idol. There's always been a teen idol. And we usually have these fake orgasms. You know, we have people whom we have forced on the public, and we've made them because we need. It's a hole. It's an opening.
Yeah, but there's a youth society, and there needs to be something for the younger people.
Right.
And every few years, there's another increment of those people.
So you might be the next what?
You could be.
What do you want to be?
I want to be an actress.
All right.
Trying.
Well, you got Ed Asner. Well, Ed Asner here, who was
been in the industry for
he's
years.
one of our best actors in the history of theater.
National treasure.
So now you're gonna you can rub up against him, but his wife's here.
You rub up against him and you'll learn everything.
I don't know about that. We don't know that part. But he's a great guy and he's a wonderful role model.
Yeah.
So you know, I can't give you any acting experience. I know nothing at all. I have no talent for singing, acting. I don't even have talent to do this, but we're too late to tell them.
We're winging it.
It's been a long time since I've actually been on the air on a regular basis.
Right, yeah.
And as a show, am I a little rusty here? I don't want to
No,
sound too
you're
insecure.
not rusty.
Okay, you're candy done.
Yeah, no, you're done. No, so I want to bring somebody out here who can make this work, all right? We got another guy here who is one of my favorite people in the world. He's when I was growing up, let me start with this one here. there were some people on television who were new, like Soupy Sales, throwing a pie in the face. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
You ever hear Soupy Sales? No.
But there were comics on the air. You know, television first began on NBC. They were the first ones with TV, and they had Howdy Doody and Cuckoo Fran and Ollie. There were puppets. Everybody had a puppet, you know. And it was an amazing beginning because people were themselves. And we got to be a little bit more organized, and now we're back to the reality that's not reality.
Well, it used to be live TV, mostly.
Yeah, that's true.
And everything was ad-libbed, and sometimes you had to go for 2 hours and just do something. You had to create on the
PM. It was called our show of shows. And there were so many people who were involved in that. Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, Howard Morris, I remember all the names. And our great comics, of course, you know. Have you ever seen that thing on Send in the Clowns? Have you seen that? It's going around on YouTube.
No, I
Go to YouTube and watch Send in the Clowns. You see Frank Sinatra sings, but it shows all our great comics who are now passed. You know, many of them. Jackie Gleason and everybody's in it. Just about everybody. It ends with Orson Welles. He was not with us either. He's a great actor. Was a great director and actor. So you know we have a history of all these people, and I'm looking at you and I'm saying all this to you because you have the privilege of all of these people before you. And you know, wherever it's going to go, I don't know. But where it is right now, we have a great advantage of learning from the video.
Yeah.
And the YouTube is great
there's
for it
archives,
because
yeah.
you can access anything.
Yes, you can get anything you want anytime. And I'm sure people like yourself, you sound like you know what's going on from the past, and that's very unique, I think.
Well, she goes to acting school.
Well, that's
Where do you go?
Stella Adler?
Stella Adler.
Yeah.
Well, I think Ed would know of Stella Adler. Ed Asner. I don't know if he's a method actor or not, but I think he is. Now, the great beginning for me was to actually be in a show, and it was so bad that they threw me out and I had to get a job. But these days, I'll tell you what happened. I got a divorce because I was text messaging.
Really?
Yeah. You're not supposed to do that during sex. and especially with someone else.
Yeah. That's a no-no.
No good. Now, we got Harvey. Harvey, are you here today? All right, he's being mic'd up. Harvey Rockman. Now, this is a guy who guides careers, all right? He has done nothing to help Ed Asner. If anything, he's gotten in the way of Ed's career. Now, Harvey is from Key West, Florida, and he is dressed in his Hawaiian homo's Quaalude sucking shirt. And he's about to join us for a little bit of a, you know, once he starts talking,
You can't shut him
you
up.
can't shut him up.
No, because Ed wants to get on.
So let's bring out Harvey Rockman. Come on, Harvey, come in.
Nice to have
Introduce the
a
game.
warm,
And there's no applause, no nothing. It's just very casual. We're on a couch.
warm and thoughtful intro.
Isn't it good? It's good to have you here. I know you've come all the way up from Key West.
Yes?
Now, Harvey threw a party that is totally unforgettable.
Uh-oh.
He sent me a friend with a Gulfstream,
Uh-huh.
you know, one of those
Yeah.
private planes.
Yeah.
And I learned the secret of flying,
Yeah.
which is to go to the airport, Teterboro,
Yeah.
get on the airplane without going through security. You don't carry any bags. Everything's first class. I had lobster served on board. There's 6 great director's chairs, you know, big cushiony chairs.
And he did that for you?
He did that.
Really?
I went to his party. I got off the airplane. Michael Calavita, who's the artist, you know, we had a really good crowd, and Harvey had a party. So we arrive at his house now, and he lives on the right on the waterfront of Key West. And he has a big mansion, and he's standing in front of one of these caftans, you know, those gowns that you wear when
Right.
you're questionably a florist.
Yes.
Or an art teacher in Hartford. And he had this thing on, and he wore this outfit, and he was serving potato chips and dip.
That's it?
Here we had this tremendous billion-dollar flight, and we were on Key West in a mansion, and he's got chip and dip.
What were they, Pringles? I mean, how?
May I retort?
Yes,
It's my position, that since you had lobster bisque
on
on
the
the private
ship.
jet which I leased to bring you and your 12 friends to my party, that you need not have more good food at my party itself.
Okay, looky here. Today is a
I'm
day for
here.
Ed Asner.
That-
All right,
I'm here
Now,
to
we're
discuss.
celebrating his 50th anniversary in show business. It's isn't it? Is it
Well,
50 years?
we're holding a party, and the purpose of the party is to announce the movie Baron Blackwolf, which I executive
And he's
produced.
also starring on Broadway and
And
great.
he's in Broadway, a show.
Yeah.
And he has also been on Hawaii Five-0. in the sequel.
I saw that
Most
book.
recently, and Up, of
Only a
course.
few months. And
Well, that
Up,
was
And the sequel.
2009.
Probably
the
a sequel.
voice and character persona which made Up successful was not Disney nor Pixar. It was Ed's personality. And Disney Pixar sort of take unto themselves all power and all credit. But I think Ed's performance, voice performance and persona were a good reason that was a
Well,
huge
that movie, he was a cranky old man. That's not that in real life.
I don't know, I haven't spoken to him about that. But he did a great job on Baron Blackwolf, which is the story of the 12th Baron of a Lithuanian Baltic family, a dynasty that has a dark secret. They're born of wolves. And Ed, we hired to do a trailer with a top director in Los Angeles. And that turned out very well. It's going to be screened at the party. I think clips will be available
We have something here.
online.
We can show it here. You want to see it now?
We have a clip.
Let's do it now. So
Wanna do it
By all means.
as well. All right. So here's Ed now. Ed Asner is he's the star of the movie, right?
He's the elder patriarch of the Blackwolf clan family. He has a good and a bad son, Gunter and Eric, and they're vying for his power and his title.
You're not in this thing, are you?
I co-created the idea with the writer Poke London in Los Angeles,
I see.
and we got a great British director who did a fabulous job directing it as well.
All right.
His name is Connor. And we're going to shoot the movie itself, which is a combination of Taras Bulba plus Dr. Zhivago plus Mad Max in Eastern Europe, Lake Baikal, Moscow, and of course, much of it will be shot in the States.
All right. So we have a clip from that. You want to show this, you guys?
Yeah, let's do that now.
What's it called?
Baron Blackwolf.
Okay.
Ancient Livonia on the coast of the Baltic Sea. The last refuge of pagan witches and warlocks. Here Christian civilization is only a few hundred years old. And there are Livonian families with secret traditions that go back to the Dark Ages, when their ancestors walked as men in the daylight and stalked as wolves in the night.
Father, what more do I have to do to prove myself? I am an officer in the Tsar's finest cavalry regiment.
The position I secured for you. There are soldiers and there are warriors. The gift did not manifest in me until I had slain men in battle. Perhaps the key will do the same for you.
How would you know if I have the gift?
We would know.
We?
The dogs of God. This key opens the old iron box. And if a man who did not possess the gift of blood should attempt to open it and obtain the legacy within, he would die an agonizing death. Before history began.
Well, having had the experience of Twilights and all of the vampire things,
Yeah.
and Breaking Dawn.
Yes.
Of course, this show is Breaking Good.
Yes.
Because there was a show called Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
This is going to be breaking very, very poorly.
He said breaking wind.
Is that what Ed said? Ed said that? That's why we don't have him on a mic.
Yeah, right. Well,
Well, we're breaking great. We're actually breaking great.
Yeah, I
Now,
like that.
now, in moving this along, the Twilight movies were about vampires.
Right.
And the popular movies right now on television for 20-year-old is the zombies.
Oh, yeah.
You know, eating.
And video games
All
too.
right, there is a
Now you got a wolf picture.
Now, this is a wolf. However, it's not just a horror fantasy wolf. The film is taken from a Baron von Ungern, who was a half-mad Russian Prussian who tried to conquer Mongolia to use the Mongols to vanquish the Red Army in the Civil War in the 1920s in Russia. And he was so ruthless and powerful that the peasants thought he could only have these powers from being a wolf. And the archaeologists are now discovering that we may not have come from monkeys or chimpanzees. Indeed, we may share genetic material with wolves. So they may indeed be half cousins to us. The shrewdness,
Where is that
the
printed?
ruthlessness. So the wolf story,
Ed's yelling off Mike.
the wolf story, which Ed will be doing so greatly, is a takeoff on a 1920s half-mad aristocrat and noble family. But again, he has a good son and a bad son, and they're vying for power to take over the family name. But I would say there will be in the film a clip where Ed, as the patriarch, says, you want to be the 16th Baron Blackwolf. But before we were a noble family, we were a wolf tribe. And before we were a tribe, we were a clan. And before we were a clan, we were a wolf pack.
Wow.
And so it mingles history, sensationalism, and the possibility that we share a psyche eons back with other species.
I'm only a wolf on Saturday nights.
Well, you know, we just came back from Foxwoods.
Yeah.
And that's the Indian tribe. It's the Pequot Indians had slavery at their doorstep, you know, and so they intermixed with black slaves. So the tribe has got a black, you know, black is the predominant gene. So the Indians don't look as red as they look black. And when they were being squeezed by the government into a small space and they started to lose their territory, someone came up with the idea that they were going to keep this tribe alive. And many of them were related to the Mohegans, which are just across the way. Now, in that territory, which is in Connecticut, they have Indian tribe, and they now have the casinos, which for 20 years have been the first casino spot in the country, I think. And they're a very interesting tribe. They have their great legend, but when you walk in, you think you're in Harlem. You know, I mean, you don't think so much that you're walking into an Indian reservation because it's the color. And it's fun, you know. I mean, it's fun to walk.
It's
in.
like red mahogany.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
it has a great resonance. You can see the depth of color. It's like a polished, varnished hue.
We're going to do some shows from there. I'm going to
that'd be great.
broadcast from Foxwoods.
That'd be great.
Unless what I just said doesn't count. You know, we'll discount us from there. Now we should bring Ed out here.
Absolutely, because now we can talk about the
Film itself.
The film and the
purpose
show
of
is
the party.
the film.
We're having a party after this webcast to honor Ed. The Mayor's Office of Film and TV, Catherine Oliver, is awarding Ed a commendation for half-century of humanitarian and cultural contributions to America and the world, and acknowledging his stardom in Grace, the Broadway show, and his major role in our Baron Blackwolf film.
great.
All right, Ed, why don't you come out here and join us for a minute?
Oh,
You're on.
really?
You're on.
You're on.
Yeah, he's coming on.
Does he have a microphone? Yeah? Oh, good. I'm glad. I always ask, because, you know...
We're not.
Yeah, you know, when you do the show as a mime, it's not real good on YouTube. Are we doing okay, Jay, so far?
I think we're doing just fine. And now we have...
You found a format yet?
Oh, wonderful to see you. As if we didn't meet
Ed,
you.
how are you, Ed?
Yeah, baby.
Good to have you.
Hi, Casey, nice to meet
You're
you.
majestic when you stand.
Hello, so am I. How are you? Nice to meet you.
I'm the eye candy you were looking for.
Okay.
So, Ed, it's wonderful to see you again.
Ah, stop it. Get out of here.
It's not that good.
You tell me how, have I changed?
Yes, you've grown this beard. The last time I saw you, you were a child. What
Chris
happened?
Crinkle.
Yeah, what's this all about? Is it
It's for the Grace.
Character.
they make you older?
How do you like the fact that Harvey's one of the successful resuscitations we've made from the living dead?
I'm pieced together a pastiche of will, domination, and understanding of the human psyche.
Well, I don't know how you ever got together. You have a distinguished actor, a wonderful man,
We paid
a
him.
smart
We
man.
paid him well.
What's he doing with you? You look like a goofball from the village. Well, how did he wind up with you?
He's artistic, he's creative. He understands that people may have powers within themselves which are unconventional. And if I'm eccentric externally, it removes me from the necessity of being self-hateful and self-destructive.
I think we judge people by the way they dress. I think, and you know, it's an image.
I get the teeth fixed.
Oh, well.
It's very important.
But
Ed, how did you first hook up with Harvey? Let me get
it
this.
was
We were in the window one night.
10 years ago.
The cross wasn't hanging up, and I was incapable
Vulnerable.
of manufacturing one quickly enough to drive him back out the window. But he instilled a lot of hope in people,
Yeah.
in terms of bringing them together with other sources. He wants his pound of flesh, of course, when all is said and done,
Yes.
and maybe 2 pounds of flesh.
He's a merchant.
Yeah.
But that's only, people would take and they wouldn't give in return if you didn't demand.
That's the name of the film company that made those kinds of movies that this trailer's about. The Merchant, what's it called?
It's called,
Ivory.
Merchant
well, the
Ivory.
Merchant Ivory.
Yeah, they made those
kinds
classic
of
films.
They make classic films.
Yeah.
But you see, I think that the future of media, film, TV, animation, digital uploads, cloud, apps, all of that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to Alaska and then to Canada and then Flagstaff and Santa Cruz. I'm working
We
with
don't have to, we have Skype.
well, we're doing mergers and acquisitions of media companies that will produce content of interest to a global young audience, because the only way young people around the world, 1 billion people, are going to be apprised of what is really happening. The main question of humanity now is, who are we, where did we come from, and where are we going? And those are becoming very pressing issues. So they're not getting the truth from their parents, or the president, or the madrasa, and all young people have one thing in common: whatever their culture, they're horny and powerless. And so if there's a natural sensitivity of young people, because they're so close to where they came from, a world that's higher and finer than the corrupted world of adults, that they feel a stress. Why am I here? I'm told you're not in 10th grade anymore. You better get down to business. You want to be a class clown. And the ones who said, yes, I do, become billionaires. The ones who said, oh no, all right, I'll study, I'll make enough money and borrow till I'm in debt so I can have a mortgage and a roof over my head. The powers that be are pressing the life out of anyone for their own purposes, and the tragedy is they themselves don't even realize, the so-called power brokers, what moves them. They're lost souls as well.
So you're having a happy life.
Well, of course, because I only meet you very rarely, and we talk on the phone.
Yes.
And you do ideas and try to get them out there to a method. Now, Ed came from a Midwestern background. He's not spoiled. He could have been a shopkeeper had fortune and destiny not intervened. So he is a man of stature, not just a celebrity. He's more important in person and more impressive with the humanitarian gifts he's given and his artistic gifts than all the hype of all these so-called stars.
Why are we talking behind his back? Why don't you get out of the way and let me go talk to him?
Well, of course, he's going to move over.
Good.
And he's going to interview you.
Please. Yeah, I mean, that's,
Oh,
I think that's a good spokesperson, good
what is
talking.
your name?
Casey. Casey.
Casey. Enchanté. Good grip.
All right, so you know you got a guy who's a
Where's he
seasoned
going?
actor. He's going to sit on the side for a while.
And what's his name again?
Jay Sorensen. We've been
Good
working
Jewish
together.
name.
He's half Jewish. Half Jewish, right, Jay?
My mom, yeah. Which,
Oh, yeah.
which theoretically makes me.
He's got one leg in Gaza.
No, not this week.
No, not this week.
Whose drink is now?
Well, it's okay.
Somebody
Was that
got
your drink, big
spilled
boy?
It's okay.
Harvey, I thought you wet your pants, but it was just the coffee. Good.
All right.
All right, now, Ed. Politics. I don't usually do a political show.
No, I don't either.
Yes, you do. I don't care so much about parties. The party that I care about is the one they're throwing for you today. And I have an idea that I was going to run by you because I know you a little bit. I don't know where you're at with this, but I was thinking, you know, one of the things that happened after this election last week was there was talk of some sort of a compromise between the Republicans and the Democrats. And I've heard that word tossed around a little bit.
Well, they know that the public is pissed off at both of them.
All right, so now
And
we,
that they have to start producing something, or they could well provoke the revolution that is sadly needed in this country.
well, so I have an idea, and I want to present here. I was thinking the compromise could be between companies. It really ought to be on a business basis, where Mobile talks to Sunoco, where there are people like Keebler talking to Nabisco. You know, they need to compromise, because that's where we are falling short right now. Everything's expensive. We don't have the jobs, and we don't have the money. So why is everybody charging more?
Especially since it's not made here.
True.
Yeah.
So what do we do about it?
Well, I think that if this country had any intelligence, the people would see that money is the root of all of our political evil.
Thank you. True.
And that they would try to instill in their jackass representatives to pass laws, taking money out of the equation of elections, creating free airtime, free press inches. What are you doing?
I'm being asked to move.
To publicize campaigns, to finance candidates, and perhaps eventually they can replace some of the bozos on the Supreme Court.
Well, where's the media playing in this? The radio and the television?
Media are just whores taking the money that the rich pay them to back candidates.
Then is it possible to
So
not
wait, I'll do the questioning. So you can do that later. This particular thing that you are pushing is called socialism.
How is that called? Is that in the dictionary? Is that printed that
Well,
way?
I'm trying to figure out where we get
Listen,
it.
I know I could go to any country in Europe and I could see 4, 5, 6 papers, all representing different parties. Do you find that in this country? Is it a free press in this?
What about Parliament? Do you like
What
Parliament?
about, what's that got to do with Parliament?
That's another style of government.
Yeah, well, fine.
It doesn't work, you get rid of the guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Why don't we do that here?
That's fine too.
Why didn't we adopt that instead of this other path? What are
Why
we
can't
doing?
we adopt what I'm talking about?
Well, we can. We can do a lot of things. I like Professor McCory, who's essentially, well, he's going to be 100 years old. He said we should have free transportation. Just get on a bus and off a bus. He said an ambulance comes to your house when you have an emergency. What's wrong with just not paying fares on buses and trains?
Before FDR died, he made a speech talking about the second 4 freedoms. That included freedom to education, freedom of housing, freedom of jobs, and freedom of education. And if those 4 freedoms could have been instituted before he died, unfortunately they weren't, we wouldn't be in this mess now.
But we are.
Yeah, call it socialism.
So how are we going to get out of it?
Socialism.
What
I
is it?
believe in socialism.
Do you?
Democratic socialism, yeah.
Well, what about the businessman? Where do you go with capitalism?
He's allowed to make his money.
Are we a capitalist society?
I don't think that it works.
You don't.
No,
Ah. So you don't like the system at all.
I don't.
What about the government? Should they be giving money and food stamps and all this stuff? Should we be doing this?
If people are starving, they should get food stamps, yeah.
Yeah.
If they need a place to sleep, they should have quarters. If they need medicine, they should get the medicine. Yes, the government should do that.
What if
Is that
there's...
socialism?
Yeah, socialism.
Okay,
What if
then let's
there's-
have it.
What about jobs? Don't you think that people have jobs that have their
You
own...
found with Roosevelt that when there weren't jobs, jobs were created. That's what a government should do.
So you like the government to be in charge?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because capitalism provides bloodsuckers if we don't let the government do it.
But you don't like the officials we've elected.
Because they are healing and healing over to capitalists.
But you want a government
They are
elected,
slaves to capitalists.
but you don't like who we elected. So how are you going to have a government? It's already... It's
Because
as
they were
corrupt.
elected with capitalist money.
But it's as corrupt as the system for money is.
Both
Both are corrupt. You know, if you don't have good people...
No, they're not corrupt. Is Sweden corrupt?
Sweden is not how we don't live like
That's a democratic socialism. Is Norway corrupt? Come on, get with the program.
I am. I'm with this program.
They have death penalties over there. This is the only one in the Western world that has a death penalty. Yeah, thanks to our moderate and conservative officials.
Now, when you were talking this way in Hollywood, and you're still talking this way.
I'm sure this will be heard in Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, when you were talking this way before, you got in trouble with whom? With the government? Do they like you? The government like you?
No, I was speaking against the government, sure. It was a corrupt government who was financing, who was advancing, doing their best to advance American imperialism throughout the world.
It's still on.
Who was the president back then? Was it Jimmy Carter?
Reagan.
It started with Reagan and then who replaced Carter, who was a Democratic president, a good Democrat. Reagan replaced him, and the cause of the military and capitalism was advanced further with Reagan.
That's right.
Mr. Gorbachev brought down that wall, and American superiority was guaranteed.
May I say something?
You may.
Thank you, Joe.
I was going to bring something up before you do.
Wait,
just before you do.
Give me a
Are you
moment.
interested in any of this that we're talking about?
Yeah. Do you think politics has played a big part in your career? You
My
seem
career?
very, yeah, you seem
No, I
very
don't want to
outspoken
show canceled.
Yeah, really. It's almost
And-
destroyed us.
because of politics.
Yeah,
Speaking
because
your
I
mind.
railed against our government for supplying, empowering the murderous generals in El Salvador and other Central American countries.
Nicaragua. You know, Ed, you're young, we're older. You may not be aware that Ed was almost blackballed because of his liberal humanitarian views. And he had the courage to jeopardize his career, his livelihood, by speaking out for truth as he saw it. And that's what I'm saying. The only possibility of altering or improving the human situation is from dramatic stories that ping the subconscious of billions of people around the world. Seeing a flick that moves you deeply has more power on a 15-year-old than his parents, than his school, than his religious affiliation.
Well, I don't agree with that at all.
If you
I think the key is modeling. You don't have any kids. When you model for somebody, you model your person. That's how you talk to your kids. Their kids listen to what you do. They hear what you do. That's a whole different dynamic.
Yes,
And
but
if you don't have your own act together, and then you're a hypocrite. And the hypocrisy is what loses. And that's what we get on a double value system. That's what we have. We have a hypocrisy. You've got
What
two parties.
happens-
You know, my idea of a party is balloons and confetti and food and wine. I don't drink. But you know, this is a party later on today. Not Democrats and Republicans. They haven't had a party in a long time.
Right.
You
That's
know,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. That
No,
it's-
no, I agree with that. I agree with the idea of what's happening. What I'm trying to figure out is how we can open it up so
Solution.
that. Let me finish. I'm trying to figure out how we can open it up so that people can make their own choices. We're dumb the country down. We're dumb. How did we get this dumb?
Education comes from the Latin educare, which means to draw forth from within. You don't teach a young person anything. They have everything they need for their entire life in their mind from birth, except it's unconscious and they don't have language yet.
Trust me, you have to model.
Education.
If you don't model it,
No, no.
you're not, education is modeling.
Education
I
is
just
dra-
told you that. I'm telling you, I have a daughter who was in troubled teens for 5 years at the DeSisto school. I was in the parent group for it. And you know, if you don't do the work, the kids aren't going to change.
I believe
You have to change.
no matter how much you or an individual parent might wish to do good, if you are tainted,
You don't wish to do good. You have to do
if
it.
you are
compelled to do it.
if you are in a society as a whole, which has limitations, the people within that society don't understand the infinite, and they don't understand how to change. They believe they want the best for their children, but their imagination is only
Okay,
have
let
security.
me move this along a little bit. We have two things in this country that are great. One
Yeah,
is
she got
science.
something to say.
She is
Yeah.
going to say something.
Well, I just want to, I mean, you've worked with everyone from Marilee Tyler Moore to Will Ferrell, and I just wanted to know, who did you look for direction when you were up and coming and in the industry?
I stole from other actors. There was an occasional director who could inspire me. I was an avid movie watcher, TV watcher. Radio taught me a great deal about how to act. And I read a great deal. And above all, I had the urge to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's what
That's why I
sustained you
became
in
an
the
actor.
industry? So long? Your ability to escape, do you think that's what sustained you in the industry for so long?
Your desire to escape, it's not I care about something so much as I don't care. I don't give a damn what I'm risking in not going to college, in not getting a degree. The real motivation of creative people or successful people is not, I care. I don't give a damn. I want to do something that instinctively or intuitively feels right, no matter who cares about it. And that courage and that guts, he comes from Midwest. He could well have been just a shopkeeper had things turned out differently. And he's never been a businessman as such, nor promoted himself with the hype of so-called stars who are more adept at their self-promotion than their acting. And he said he wanted to escape the mundane everyday world, 9 to 5.
Why don't you let him say all this? Why don't you sit on your lap, you put your hand up his back and do the voice?
Well, go ahead.
I'll correct him when he goes away.
Yes, thank you, Joey. Because
Is this true?
That's the
Is what
base-
is he speaking
the
for?
basis of my relationship with Ed is that I respected him as a human being who had the guts and the courage to have his career suffer because he had beliefs that were stronger than his career or his personal interests. That's called greatness. Now, he may only be semi-great, or he may be aging. However, there is a kernel of greatness in someone who betrays their own self-interest and does something stupid because it's right. You don't do something courageous for applause. That's what politicians do. There is nothing as stupid and insane as someone who is a hero. He runs into the battle to save people, and he may die doing that. Heroism is temporary insanity. And someone who is not interested in their own life and preserving it is a weirdo.
I saw George Carlin. My wife Cindy showed me a clip of a George Carlin performance, at which he talked about the fact what we need in this country is a couple of bald-headed guys who set themselves on fire. And I've often said that there will be no change in this country until people believe in a cause sufficient enough to die for.
To sacrifice themselves.
So how do you feel about all this that you've done all these years? Do you think it's paid off for you?
In my gut, it has.
Because you've never
You feel,
come.
wait, let him talk. I want to get him to talk, not you. He doesn't need a spokesperson. He really doesn't. Hold on for a minute. I want to hear this man. It's his day today. Let's hear him. So you have had a great career, and it's not over. You're still having one. And you have a wonderful spirit. And you have a great, strong message. And you've stuck to it. Now, what has evolved? How has the message, has it become more refined? Has it gotten bigger, or what? Is there
Well, in the beginning, I used to fight for liberals and Democrats, progressives, so-called progressives, who would stem the tide. But we've seen too much belly-upping on the part of Democrats. So I have no hope that the Democratic Party is now constituted will save our ass. We now have re-elected Barack Obama, who never saw a war he didn't like. And until he becomes chastened and stops being a slave to corporations and to the military, we're going to have more wars, more engagements. And it's going to be very interesting how we fall down in terms of the crisis in the Middle East now. It seems that Israel could not get anything started vis-a-vis Iran, so now they're taking the shop around the corner, Hamas, and beginning to generate bloodshed. The dogs are loose.
They're coming for you.
Somebody
Yeah.
is coming downstairs, running to the front.
It will be very interesting to see how this comes down.
May I say something? You know, empires come and go, and societies have a cycle, a natural life cycle. And generally, a country may become, well, America started as a young, hardworking, democratic republic. But over a few generations, it may unconsciously morph into an arrogant, overstuffed empire. The people within the country don't realize it happens gradually. But they may all be serving an empire and not realize it. They're going about their daily tasks.
Well, is Obama the Antichrist?
Obama,
Is he the Antichrist?
Obama is
it's
too,
a question.
excuse me,
It's a question.
excuse me.
You know,
Obama-
you have all your philosophies.
Yes,
now, why don't you answer a
I'm
question?
going to ask you.
Yeah.
He is too thankful for having been given the opportunity by the white society
Didn't answer me.
to
You didn't answer me.
go to
Is
college.
he the
What
Antichrist?
is the Antichrist? What does
It's not
that
an
mean? to you?
antichrist. That's
Somebody
a silly
who's going-
term.
What does it
He's
mean?
not evil.
What does it mean?
It's a biblical.
Hey,
It's
I know what
stupid.
it means. It's biblical. What does it mean?
It means someone who is loved by the world and sneaks one in,
Is demonic.
and
That's a-
well has an evil goal.
No, he doesn't.
I'm asking.
He's
What-
just limited by his own fear.
He's a corporatist.
Thank you. When he was a young kid, he's half black, he's half white. By the way, they say our black president, he's not black. He's half black. Why do they say our half white president? And only in America could you say he's black. He's not African American, like born from America. He has an African father who had a white girlfriend, an Iowan, and it's to the great compliment of his white grandparents that they didn't just say, oh, they said, you know, you're special. You alone can see what white people are like and black people. You have a great destiny ahead. And at 7 or 8 years old, a child will say either, I'm a nobody, I don't know where I fit in, or I'm special. Grandma told me I'm both white and black. I can bring that whole world together. That was the motive engine that revved up and served him for the rest of his life. He can get to college on scholarship. He can do this, he can do that. But I think, like Mendelssohn, who was a Jewish composer, who never achieved high greatness, he was too afraid to offend the people who had given him great opportunity. I think Obama is afraid to offend those who gave him his shot.
Okay, so you like him. Now, what about the other guy? Do you like Romney?
Romney,
Yeah.
Romney's father.
Did you like him? You don't answer questions. You always you
No, I don't like him.
Okay, that's
I
all
think
I
he's
asked.
spoiled,
That's all I asked you.
and I think he
Well,
represents.
Ties dogs to the roof of his car.
Yes, that's exactly. You know, here's how we should elect a president. The two men are in a room, 100 children are let into the room. Whoever the children run to instinctively is a good person.
Well, that's the-
that becomes the
that's the
president. You don't need to elect him.
Wisdom
He should be
of-
appointed by
wisdom of-
100 children.
Wisdom of
Well,
Solomon.
what happens if he's got a sugar-coated penis?
Then we have to investigate it, and you have to lick that sugar off so that it is no longer.
I'm not a child.
Must be a general. So what happens now with our world if we are in such a flux? We don't have the right government.
We either don't survive or we do.
Well, I don't agree with you, because I'll tell you something. Listen to me for a minute, because you don't want to listen to anybody. See, the fact of the matter is that this is a melting pot of every country.
Oh, right.
This country didn't get here because we were here. We got here because everybody from somewhere else came here who wanted to be here and
A
practice
myth.
a lot.
The tired, the hungry, the losers
A
came here.
myth was created.
Europe was, exactly, Europe was
Myth.
happy to get rid of its trash.
And the whole world,
underclass.
loves the myth. Ho Chi Minh even styled their own declaration
Exactly.
off our declaration. He was in such awe. But we didn't want anything to do with Ho Chi Minh.
We
And
rejected
so we bled his people to death for how many years? 7, 8, 10. And we do this wherever we go because we perpetuate the myth. And if you'll recall, in the South it was criminal to teach a slave to read,
And that's right.
to keep us, to educate a slave.
And if a slave
And
escaped,
that is what is now happening in this country. It's becoming criminal to educate our people. So until we start educating our people, until we start living up to the myth and recognize that it's a myth of America, and let the world know that we have created the myth and we have not lived up to it, and we would like to start. Until we start doing those kind of mea culpas, we ain't gonna get anywhere.
How are we doing with our job situation, finding jobs for people here? You think the government ought to hire everybody and just put everybody on the payroll?
I think you ought to find more ways than they did. When they created the bankster gifts, the people didn't get the money as they were supposed to. The jobs weren't created as they were supposed to.
Well, General
Bill
Motors-
Clinton has helped sell this country down with NAFTA and CAFTA.
General Motors now works for the government.
well,
Fine.
They're not paying the debt
Fine.
back, and they borrowed all this
Who
money.
does
They work-
IKEA work for?
So we now own a car company.
these are
As
the
a co-
petty
wait,
ways.
Harvey,
What's wrong with
lay
No,
that?
back.
I'd like to
Lay back for a minute. Get your own talk show. So the General Motors people really have to pay this government, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. And we have a treasury that's depleted. It's a business. I mean, you're running a country that's a business, and it's not a profitable one. So what do you think you're going to do? I mean, how are you going to get everybody to get out of this rut? We're not happy right now with what's going on. I don't think.
What would make you happy personally? I don't
It's not.
think,
It's not.
excuse me.
Wait, it's not personal. Harvey, I don't want to have a debate with you. I'm trying to talk to Ed Asner, and you're just into this whole thing.
Oh,
Stop.
shut up.
Yeah, just for, let me.
I can't take you in.
I speak the least.
No, that's not true.
You say the least.
She speaks the least.
You have many words.
Jay speaks the least.
Give me a second. I'll rev up.
Check.
Yeah. Well, let's rev up. Go ahead.
Oh no, look, Ed. This country has such an incredible amount of wealth, and yet only a handful of people have it. There's got to be some kind of. Not everybody has to be exactly equal, because I don't believe everyone.
I believe
Can
that,
be.
I'm going to interrupt. I believe with the socialism he keeps trying to tag me with, I believe there should be a minimum living allowance for every person in this country. And from that, he can do any job, any business he wants, and make all that much more.
Totally.
With caps at the top. There should be limits.
Okay, and I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. The problem is somebody's going to feel slighted. And when you have slighted people, you have revenge. And then when you have revenge, you have
Assassination.
backlash. Well, I was going to say, you talked about a revolution.
But we're
before.
discussing-
There would be a revolution.
Then.
But there will be a revolution
Who are
when
going to
the-
be their troops?
Well, yeah, who's going to be the troops?
Yeah.
The people, I think we are headed for a class war in this country more than anything.
When?
Ed wants that. He'd like a revolution. What is a revolution?
Thomas Jefferson himself said the tree of liberty must be occasionally fertilized with the blood of patriots.
So what do you think of as a revolution? What is a revolution to you?
Well, we've got to, I want a new constitution. I want a lot of the things that are left out of that
Yes,
constitution.
could be amended.
Like what?
I mean, you've got a movie out there now by Spielberg showing Lincoln.
Right.
And it says that Lincoln had the 13th Amendment passed to make equality. That isn't why he passed it, and that isn't how it got passed. It's a lie. And that lie is being perpetuated with that movie. So what would you ask me? What do you want?
I want to know what a revolution is to you.
A revolution going back to
Changing the
Roosevelt's
Constitution.
second four freedoms, guarantees of housing, education, jobs.
And remember, Roosevelt said, the wealthy hate me. I welcome their hatred. And he probably would have been assassinated had he not died. Because
Yeah.
a society comes in cycles, and we're all talking about
You're
the,
back on that again.
the
Stop.
superficial
That's all right.
waves.
Let's get practical. Stop with the philosophy already.
Do the people have the will to have a revolution now?
No.
Not yet.
That's
Otherwise you'd
I
have
mean,
one.
Let him answer.
they are pissed
God,
off.
Harvey.
Yes,
They
well,
are
clearly.
very pissed off.
Clearly.
And I'm afraid they're going to have to be pissed off even much, much more. until finally they act. And I'm saying that when they do have the revolution, they could well create and produce a fascist government. I know that, but I feel it's a cycle we're going to have to go through. And when the people finally realize what a crock fascism is, then maybe we'll get to the socialism that we need.
The socialism crumbled in Russia. Why? Why did that not?
Well, first of all, look at the enemies Russia had. It was surrounded by enemies from the get-go, from the very get-go, hounded, and the capitalist countries of the world, for the most part, prevailed against her by keeping her scrambling all the time. And it was not efficient. And they advanced. It was, I mean, this is the most beautiful country literarily you could find in the world. That and England, nobody to compare. But not enough education or controls were passed with the Duma, the ruling bodies of the Soviet to license in the grafters and the corruptors.
Where are you going to go from here after Grace closes? What are you going to do?
I'm going to be home for a few weeks and then go out on the road with my one-man show at Roosevelt.
You don't do anything as far as active politics is concerned. You did that for a while.
Yeah, I believed in them.
You don't believe in anybody right now? No person?
No.
No party?
Oh, they exist, certainly. Bernie Sanders is a good socialist up in Vermont. But I like George Miller up in Northern California. They're few and far between.
How do you like the separation of the unions? AFTRA and SAG, now they're one.
I don't. It was all a big power play done, control of the media. It was a snow job.
Yeah.
Well, the media is consolidating so tremendously and without a voice.
George Clooney was participated in United.
Well, he's a producer.
Yeah.
They're all producers. The rich actors are producers. Sally Field, that little bitch.
Are you happy? Are you happy with your show, with Grace?
Yeah, very happy.
Yeah.
I think it makes people think they get to mull, and they're mulling a couple of weeks later about what they see.
Would you like
And
to do
that's
it?
good.
Like to do a TV series again?
Sure.
Yeah. You're all right with that. Is anybody blackballing you these days?
No,
Or has that all
if
gone
they
away?
are, I don't know who they are.
I mean, it's gone away, hasn't it?
No, there will always be people who don't like you.
Well,
It's not a blacklist.
I mean, nobody's not hiring you because of your political
No,
beliefs.
no.
That's gone,
Yeah.
right?
But it did happen.
John, what is his name? That sugar. John Voight is now the ace representative of the right, and he gets hired all the time.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter anymore, does it?
It will always rise up again. You can't say anymore. The next day, tomorrow, a blacklist could start on a particular individual. You need a couple of blacklists in a century to whip people into shape, and then they behave for a long time and are controlled by that blacklist.
No, I love you, and I have great respect for you. And I'm not setting you up. But I was going to ask you about something. I never asked you this. When you had these great shows, Mary Tyler Moore, with no doubt, and Lou Grant. I mean, they're just absolutely still precious.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you this: Is that way to you? Do you get that, or is it just us, the viewers? I mean, do you know how great that is for us? Do you have any idea?
Your shows?
Yeah.
I know how great it was and is, and because I wanted to shoot my mouth off as an individual. Bill Paley at CBS didn't want me to do that, and so he took the glory away.
Same thing with Howard Hessman too.
Yeah.
WKRP. Same thing happened. They went off the same day.
So we were on the same project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people say, look at he can afford to say that. No. When any actor takes a political position, He is always in danger of alienating to 50% of the audience, perhaps,
That's right.
who may not wish to watch him.
That's right.
So we pay a price. My guilt arose from the 200 people on my show who lost their job.
Have you ever talked to Pele since then?
No, he died, fortunately.
No, but did you ever talk to him after that? Never had a conversation?
Power brokers don't talk.
I always wanted to shake the dandruff off his shoulders. Not a dandruff. But I never had the nerve.
How do you look back and
And I was not the only one. I mean, he did it to the Smothers Brothers. He did it to Murrow, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, he did.
how do you, when you look back right now, and you're looking at all of this, you know, it all adds up to what? It adds up to, I'll tell you why I asked you that. Mike Nichols was being interviewed by New York Times, and he said, they said, oh, you had a wonderful career. He said, it's not about career. He said, a career is something you do every day. That in the end, you're not known for your career. You're known for your work every day and what you do every day. So it's not your career that I'm asking about, but your work. You know, you continue to do it and you're moving forward. And I just wanted to dig a little deeper in that, that's all. Wondering how you look back on all of this.
I've been lucky. I've been very lucky. Some people say I've been ungrateful by pissing in the eye of the hurricane. And I survived it. As my agent at the time said, he really thought that I was going to be buried for good and ever. But the fact that I kept responding in print or on air to all of the accusations made against me kept me alive. And staying alive is what it's all about.
One of my big moments with you was to travel to Philadelphia and see you do the reading of the Scopes trial.
At my
And
best.
just watching you do that, it's brilliant. You know, I mean, you really were, it's first class.
It's a great script.
And it's you. So you continue to teach.
That's right. My belief about myself is that I am a musical instrument. And you as a writer, when you engage to have the notes played of your writing, you want the finest instrument to be portraying your notes. So you hire me. And I suppose a director like Mike Nichols who will evoke those notes. But that's what I'm for, to play your music.
So you have favorite writers?
Oh, Craig Wright, who wrote Grace, is certainly excellent. John Hertzler, who's going to be at
He's
our
coming to the
gallery,
party.
has written several scripts of great, wonderful progressive thought. One about the Spanish Civil War, one about a Walmart-type operation that takes over a town and criminally does so. All of these ideas are wonderful, and I like his writing. E.L. Doctorow I always loved. Who else is out there?
How about directors? Some directors.
John Favreau, I thought did a beautiful job on Elf. Dexter Buller did a fantastic, painstaking job on Grace. He wanted to kill him. Where else have I been?
Kevin Connor.
Kevin Connor. of
He
course,
directed
who did
the Blackwolf project.
Blackwolf, yeah, and John, what is his name? John, who also directed some of the Darrow thing, the Scopes trial. Can't think of his last name. I'm in that age now where some names just fly out.
That's okay.
Elf, you know what I mean?
Are you looking for a project? You're looking for some,
Always.
yeah.
What was your favorite project?
Huh?
What was your favorite project that you worked on?
I love the Scopes trial. I think
Scopes?
it brought ideas and evoked performances that people weren't seeing for the most part. And it's a great vehicle for me.
Classic ability of art to actually move people deeply.
I think your best role ever was acting as Harvey's friend.
Oh, I'll tell you.
That performance is not over.
I'll tell you another one. It's a gorgeous one-man show, but I don't think it's possible to really do it. It's called Numbers of People. And it's about a Holocaust survivor who then acquires a position with government in going to the Holocaust areas of the world and listing and naming and numbering the people there. And it's a one-man show. He comes upon the stage and he starts talking, telling about his job, about his wife, his daughter. He's waiting for his daughter. And as the show goes on, he realizes he's also going through the first stages of dementia. It's a beautiful script. It's
To know you're
very
losing it.
depressing. So
Sometimes.
it's about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Number of people. And, if you ever get a chance.
Read that.
How do you feel about this awards thing today? About the 50th anniversary and show business?
Well, this 50th anniversary.
It's not the 50th anniversary. I just said to them, put in the award for over a half century, because I knew it couldn't be a century, and it wasn't 25 years.
I started acting over 62 years ago, for God's sake.
And his birthday was a few days back.
So it's the 62nd
Yeah,
anniversary.
62nd,
That's it.
come on.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, actually, it's almost 2/3 of a century.
I just want to ask you this other thing, and then we'll let you out of here. How are you, as far as, I never asked you this one either, how are you about spirituality? Is there a God?
Because of the nature of play grace I'm in, I fight against any belief in God. I don't want to hear about it because of the murder that has taken place in the name of God by us mere mortals. And it's not worth it. So I also realized the phrase that came out of World War II, as I recall, there are no atheists in foxholes. So I suppose, let's see what happens. Come at me with a knife and see what I do about God.
First thing you say, oh my God. No, in your life.
You just reminded me of Orson Welles.
All
Just
right.
that look, yeah. Did you like him?
Oh, sure. A magnificent creator.
Besides yourself, do we have any more geniuses? Do we have any more thought-provoking people who are really into their craft like you are of film and television and acting, which is always...
Producing.
I can't name them per se, but I know they're out there. It's also become unbelievably difficult. The movies are chaotic. Drama, theater is chaotic, especially in these hard times. You know, with Roosevelt, they started a people's theater. Gave actors work. They went out there and did plays for people. They built roads, for God's sake. We need somebody who can inspire us to do that.
What do you got for
But everything is, it's chaotic. Everything's chaotic. And we need, and that's the danger of fascism.
Someone out with the
We
answer.
want that leader. Shape me up, leader. In place of a God, the leader, El Duce.
You have a girl here, a young girl, as you know, and you've been talking back and forth. And she's just now listened to us for a great deal of time. We watched some older guys argue too, which is probably, maybe uncommon in your house, I don't know.
Where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey.
Did you have the hurricane damage?
No, I live in New York now, so my parents, they lost power for 2 weeks, but that was it.
I
No,
want you to take singing lessons.
Do I take singing lessons?
I want you to take them. Do you?
No.
Well, you do it.
Okay.
It's going to vary your voice and give you mellifluousness. And change your range.
Yes.
Develop your voice.
Yeah, talking from here.
That's right. Great advice.
Yeah.
In a snap,
See that?
pinpoints what needs to be done.
Singing lessons.
So you came here for a role model, just as I was saying.
And you may have found
And
one.
you've been given your key instruction.
Well, you're great, and
You are.
having had the time with you the other day, you know, when we went to lunch.
What? Tell us.
We went to
You
the
went to
Friars
lunch.
Club. Escorted, she's
So
lovely.
you brought a fryer, did you?
So Ed Asner, what do you think?
No, I look up to him so much. I mean, he's worked with everyone from Mary Tyler Moore to Will Ferrell, and I think you're amazing.
I learned from all of them.
You know, and as a young actress, it's so hard to, try to get into the industry, and you don't know who to trust, and you don't know who to look for direction, and
Isn't that like life itself?
yeah.
But you'll find the right person. You will.
I think
You will.
you can only find answers by quietly removing yourself from the noise of the world. Everyone has an opinion. Finding who you are, going off alone. I call it a media fast, where you go out into nature and the small voices, intuitions that are blared out away by everyone else talking. If you take a weekend off and walk the beach, your body and your mind will take on the rhythms, and you will relax and wake up. My God, that's the idea I gave you.
We
My
don't
God,
all
that's
have
the
a
insight.
mansion on Key West. You know.
I got
I'll tell you, you can get those inspirations from, a hook in the ceiling. They come out of nowhere.
Be open to them.
I can remember my football coach was a wonderful, good football coach. And I'm walking along with him one day, and in those days the steel workers, the coal miners were striking. And I reflected the opinions of my Republican newspaper at that time. My God, they gotta stomp on those strikers. They gotta get those guys in shape. And Mike said, "No, yeah. You can't keep a man from striking. You can't. In other words, you can't keep a man from unionizing if that man wants to. And this country works very hard, day in, day out, keeping people from unionizing. More and more, that Wisconsin episode where the governor won and the unions were cast out. It's happening all over the country.
My father was a union worker for Bethlehem Steel, and my grandfather was in management. And because he went on strike, they didn't speak to each other for 14 years. And that's in our own family.
Really?
And I was
It's a
raised.
civil war.
I was raised in that kind of an environment.
I started, my first big job in life was working at a GM plant in Kansas City, which was an open shop plant, which meant you didn't have to belong to the union. And they were the meanest bastards in the world. They forced it down your throat. And the line was going like this. This is 49, I'm talking. 49, yeah, 49. Cars were like 70 an hour. And it was brutal. And I spent 6 months there and then finally quit. Went to Chicago, drove a cab, did this, worked in a steel mill. So I said I'd never go back to a union plant, to an auto plant. And then I found my friends. I was making $1.30 an hour at the steel mill in Gary. I had friends working for $1.90 an hour at the auto plant.
Were they in the union?
I went in and worked at a union plant and was making $1.90 an hour. And the difference between Chicago and Kansas City was like night and day. I was a man. I was not spat on. I was not disrespected. I had my union.
Yeah.
And that's what a union should do. I know there are corrupt unions. It's a terrible history of corrupt unions. But without them, man is powerless.
Well, you were the head of a union.
Yeah,
And
Screen
what happened there? How did
Screen
that,
actors
did,
kill
you,
it.
did you try to move that along?
I did.
Yeah.
I had a lot of good help. But I will also tell you that the man who doesn't belong to the union doesn't realize he is. But because he doesn't belong to the union, whatever the union has produced as a pay level for that position, and he's working below it, but the pay he's making is gauged on what that union man is making. So he still owes the union even though he doesn't belong to it.
We got a nice crowd of people watching you over here.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
I think
Can we have a nice round of
Applause,
applause
Yeah,
for
two rounds of applause.
I have a couple of people I want. Let's bring. I got a guy I want you to meet. My dentist. Now here's a dentist.
I gave it the office.
No. Now bring him out, Harvey. Let him have your microphone for a minute because we're gonna have these guys talk. You take that tape off of your shirt and put it on your mouth. It'll be a good place for it. Just joking, Harvey. Take it easy.
I don't
And
know
I'm
where to
blaming
go.
you for resisting me.
Oh, you got to pull that from out of your shirt. Maybe you should do that off camera.
Yeah, do that off camera.
But I want to bring a friend out here who is an interesting gentleman. He believes in some things that maybe you share or
Hi.
don't share.
Harvey.
This is
Pleasure.
another Harvey.
What's your name? Harvey.
And he's a dentist
That's for
here
you?
who went this morning to have root canal work. So this is a dentist who went to a dentist. Isn't that
Here,
right?
talking to my mic, where?
No, he's got
I
one.
got you one. Just gotta put it on here. Got it for you right
I'm new with this.
there. All right. Now, Dr.
Harvey what?
Avi Brennholz.
Avi.
Brennholz, firewood in Yiddish.
Yeah.
All right. Now he believes in Kabbalah. Are you familiar with that? And you got your mic just fell. Put it up for a minute.
Okay.
Now put it up near your medallion. You got it?
The clip just fell. Just hold it.
Just hold it up. That's okay. It's all live. Don't worry about it. You'll be
With all this, we're going to have a great show.
you'll be rewarded in heaven. So you've been listening to us at all? You've been listening to
Yes,
Ed?
yes, amazing stuff.
Is there anything that you want to say or add to or ask? Because you got this guy in front of you right now. This may be the only time it'll ever happen.
Well, I have a legend in front of me, an amazing legend. I don't. For once, I guess I'm at a loss for words.
Well, how you fix your teeth?
I'm missing a few. Actually, I need some. I need some implants. Yeah.
You know a good dentist?
Yeah, but I can't work on myself.
Sure you could.
I know there's an actor with a dental degree.
Lawrence Olivier did in, what was 3 Days of the
Marathon
Condor?
Man.
Marathon Man.
Marathon Man.
Okay, so what's happening now with you? You're politically, are you a socialist or you're a Republican or what? We're just,
I'm a member of
Jump
the
in
1
here
plus
somewhere.
1 equals 2 party.
what's that?
Yeah, common sense. Common sense. And we really have to start using common sense. And again, a lot of people just can't figure out that 1 plus 1 equals 2. And I think that the road we're down now in some ways is good, but it can be very perilous. From a Kabbalistic standpoint, what it's all about from the very start was we were told not to bring along a group of people called the Erev Rav. And who were the Erev Rav? The Erev Rav were the ones who always wanted to receive for themselves alone. And in Kabbalah, we know that you receive for the sake of sharing. That's the key. The sharing, desire to receive for oneself alone, receiving for the sake of sharing. So we've taken a step. Now we have to take the next step and understand that when we do receive, when we have a society with such a large entitlement mentality, they want to receive. Now the challenge is determining what to share. Can we do it? And the next few years will determine that. And that will determine what's going to happen. Most of the prophecy in the Old Testament and Kabbalah has already been fulfilled. For the first time in history, all the steps have been checked off. The next one, God forbid, is war to Israel, Persia and a foreign superpower. So we hope that doesn't happen. But we are on the precipice. It could go either way. It depends how we do it.
Well, that's what Ed was talking about before. You know, we are in a very, very interesting time. What happens next will determine a lot of the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the road.
But you know, it's all new. You know, I use Spain as my best example. 50, 60 years under a fascist dictator who wrested it from a Republican government. And the capitalist nations of the world tended to support him. He finally dies. Less conservative rulers come in. They don't last very long. And finally, a full-blown socialist comes in. Now, because they are tied into the European market, they got sucked under with business and money and loans. Now, when they come out of it, whether they go back to socialism or whether they go fascist again, it's going to be very interesting and curious to see.
And won't the people decide that eventually? I mean, won't it always
Oh
come back
yeah,
down?
but it all depends how repressed they are
Right.
to create the liberal or the non-liberal.
So where are you philosophically with this gentleman here, with Ed Asner?
Well, I guess I'm on the 1 + 1 = 2 party. That makes me a John Stossel libertarian. And I would imagine that most people in show business are far different from me. To me, it's whatever works. And after all the bluster and anger, which often gets you hurt, we have to see if this works. You know, how is this going to work? How is it going to work when you have a system that doesn't produce anything? All we're doing is taking. Taking is a dead end. How do we turn this around to be a society that produces? Because the election was not that. The election pushed us in the other direction.
People want to work. They like to brag about welfare queens this and welfare bums that. People like the respect of having a job. And they should be given those jobs.
Well, let's work to make that happen.
But where do the jobs come from?
The government
Government
can.
make it.
The government can do that if it wants to.
That has never worked.
Why hasn't it worked in the Depression?
It worked in the Depression.
Roosevelt created them.
Well, Roosevelt was an exceptional man.
Well,
An
let's
exceptional
find the
individual.
exceptional man to produce jobs.
Do you believe we have an exceptional man in the White House? That's what I think the problem is.
I don't think we have an exceptional man anywhere in Washington.
Here you
There
Well, I
goes
know
it.
I've got an exceptional man next to me.
Indeed.
That much I know. And he's a real, what do you call him, a mensch?
A mensch?
Is that in the
Icon.
Kabbalah?
A git in the Shema, a good soul.
He's great.
Well, I'm glad you guys met. Harvey here is a wonderful dentist, and he continues the work of implants. You know, and so do you. In our society, you have done that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about sex.
That's a different show. That's the next
So
one.
Ed, we got to get you ready. We
Yeah.
got
You have a
to
big
dust
party
you up
coming
for
up.
a
I
big
gotta
party.
go to the John.
Yeah.
Oh yes, well, that'll be part of it. Well, we're really so happy to have you here today.
My pleasure.
And
My pleasure.
Jay, are you glad that you showed up today?
Absolutely. I'm enthralled.
So am I.
An icon. Thank you.
And young lady, Mr. Asner,
Nice meeting you.
you can go over there and hug him if you like. Yeah, you can do that.
Catch this one, guys.
All right. I think
This will be on the front page of the New York Post in the morning.
No, Joe. No Joe's a bad.
yeah.
Go ahead. Come on.
See,
Do you want to hug
Show
him?
me the
Oh, that's
All
very
right.
sweet.
Well,
My wife
great
wants
show.
you?
Thank you, Ed. Okay, guys, we've had it. It's a Reynolds wrap.
Do your outro.
Thank you for being here. Ed McMahon lives through Jay Sorensen.
Yes, I am.